you want to keep your thing, your off-road vehicle, the cleanest it's ever been, spray it with Mudslinger before you go out riding, and watch what it does when you bring it home after you've rode it all day. Okay, I'm back again. I just went and had to do some things and just came back to the garage. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the rear A-arms back on, and we're going to put the rear suspension on and connect all the bolts, and we're not going to torque it back to spec because without the rear differential in there, I believe the rear carriers have to be torqued. They might have to be removed to get the CV shafts in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to basically mock everything back up, and then I need to get started on putting the rear carrier and the axles back together. So this thing, the rear end will be good to go. I'm getting a little weary about this thing sitting on the lift. It's starting to like lean like this, and yeah, I don't know. So I need to get this rear end together before something happens on this lift. So I'm just going to lift it up just a little bit so I don't have to bend over that much to put these pieces in. And it should click here. There it goes. We'll go up one more click. Then I gotta lock it down in place, and you can see that the four-wheeler's starting to lean a little bit. I think this little Chinese lift I got on the center frame is starting to give out a little bit. So I thought this front tire was bent maybe when I put one of the ball joints in the shock press, but I don't think it is. I don't think all the weight is coming down on that tire, so when the weight of the front end comes back down, it will even itself out. Okay, so these are the rear wheel hubs, and if you have your bearings that need replaced on your rear wheel hubs, make sure to check the link below. I'll put all the links below, and I also have an awesome playlist for rebuilding this four-wheeler. So go ahead and give that a look. That way you know how to do all this if you're going to take all this apart. These videos are literally saving you thousands of dollars if you watch these videos upon installing this stuff. So we'll get everything laid out here. I can't remember if this was left or right. I painted them so I think it covered the markings of what side was what, but I think these are actually universal, so they could go either side. Same thing with the shocks. If you need to take them apart and clean them and make sure everything's okay with them, I have a video for that as well. I'll put the link below. Set those aside, and then I'm missing one A-arm in the bolts. There's the bolts, the A-arm. Go ahead and get this installed. I've already got this pre-installed after I did the needle bearing repair. Again, links below for the rear end here, and we're not going to grease anything through the grease zerks because I'm going to come back when the quad's done, and I'm going to go through and we're going to grease every single greaser. So if someone buys one of these quads, they know where every single greaser is. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to get this shock on here. I really don't have a very good camera angle set up here, so. Okay, first things first, what we're going to do, We're going to reinstall our eyelets here into our aluminum arms. Then we will put our other one on. On the inside there. Then we're going to go ahead and put our outer bushing in. Get it greased up. It's probably never going to be removed again in 14 years. We'll go ahead and push it in like so. Then we have our inner bushing. Forget the terminology, may not be 100% accurate, so if I'm not word for word on these stuff, you know, best thing I can tell you is, you know, yourself. So go ahead and install that one. I'm gonna go get the towel. Then we're gonna go ahead and connect the shock to the top part here. So I'm not 100% sure which one was right and which one was left. They both are about the same design, so I don't really think it's going to matter. Oh, and I forgot I already greased this, so we'll go ahead and get that one put in there. Get the bolt through it, and that'll hang the shock there. Like so. Now with the shock hung, oh boy, I can't remember if that spacer was on the inside or the outside. There was a small spacer off of the sway bar. Oh gosh. I do not remember which way it was set up. Well, we're about to find out. Gonna have to turn the computer on. Okay, let me just give you a little tip here. If you have access to a computer or your cell phone, when you get into projects like this and you actually, like me, you don't have the time to finish them because this YouTube thing is only done on the weekends, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to a Polaris parts OEM dealer on the internet. There's a lot of them that you can buy parts from. Here's one, Polaris Parts Nation. And what I'm going to do is, because I forgot how this went together and I'm not going through the entire videos I've already shot, we are going to get the diagram of the parts and we kind of see how stuff goes together on here. So we need to find a rear end with the sway bar. Suspension rear. And once you find the diagrams, you can kind of see how everything is set up. It's going to be under the torsion bar. If you're looking this up, it'll be under torsion bar. And it looks like it goes nut, it's going to go bolt through the end link and then the spacer and then to the rear shock. So yeah, you can get the information you need off the internet. Just pull up the parts diagrams off a free website. And this is why I didn't want to tighten the sway bar down all the way. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add a little bit of grease to this bolt here. And then it goes bolt, and then your spacer, and then this will give your correct spacing on the suspension here. Like so. And then we just have our final nut to put on here, which is real fun to do when your hands are all greased up now. And then this will be for our rear carrier here. This will be where our shafts go through. And this is the whole reason that this is not gonna be torqued. Now I've already greased all this stuff, so we're just gonna insert our units. Now these were kind of difficult to get off because they were pressed in there, and I actually believe you want to go from the outside with the bolt and the nut on the inside. And then our carrier here we'll have to mess with, because I made sure so I wouldn't lose, I would zip tie this spacer that goes in to the unit itself. Again, I am going to grease everything. A lot of people won't agree with this. I don't care. I have been doing this for years. Most people have not. This thing's got to go in from the inside, I believe. It only went in one way, I thought. Ugh. Yeah, so it went in from the inside. And then with our rear carrier here, we'll pull off both. Oh. Pull the cover off. And greasing the inside of the needle bearings that were stuck on this bottom carrier will actually help prevent water from rusting and corroding the system here. And we'll put our nut on there. So there we go. That side's, oh no, it's not done. I'm going to go ahead and grease the inside of this for the spindle. And just so y'all know, I did buy a set of Hyper 3 carbon fiber rims for this ATV for the rear. Any weight that I can reduce going in on the rotating mass of the engine. Anything that rotates, if you want to go faster, don't spend the money in the horsepower, porting the head and everything. You need to decrease weight on your rotating mass. That's just common sense for anybody that knows anything about racing. And we're just going to put our, we're not going to slide it. I'm going to go ahead and grease that a little bit too. Some people will anti-seize this, which that's probably okay and fine too. This will just help with the install here. It's just going to slide in now. Smooth like butter. Sorry guys if you can't see my face. I've got this garage so packed that I don't have a lot of camera angles, so you know, this channel isn't for camera angles and to listen to me, it's to get the information out. So, you know, if you're watching these videos, you're not watching for me being entertaining, you're watching because you have a problem with your quad. So, I'm trying to help you fix it. And silicone hoses, just got done being produced. The mold fee about killed me. So I will have the silicone hoses for these ATVs that will allow you to use the thermostat, so you don't have to cut and rig the silicone hoses like I did on this engine. And then the radiators, I just approved the printing of the box, so I will have approximately 10 kits for the radiator and silicone hoses. I wasn't able to get the supplier for the thermostat, so if you are to buy one of these radiators and silicone hose kits from me, I just highly advise you replacing the thermostat when you're done. And also, I'm going to bring these products out at such a price that the markup is not going to be tremendous. So anybody that these videos you're watching that are helping, please help me. I need your help on selling these products. I believe in it. I've approved them. They're going to be really badass parts. So yeah, just wait. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. So. Okay, so let's get the shock on here first. Okay, I forgot I greased this one too. So we'll put the nut toward the side here. Just get it snug. Now we're going to put the bottom A-arm on. Okay, so on the rear A-arm, don't forget the side with the greaser that's going to go up. We're going to basically have to reinstall our bushings. The bushings I sourced were not the correct ones. I don't know what the hell they sent me, but they weren't right. So everything needs to be greased here on the internal side of this housing. That's why the greaser is actually there. Then we are going to grease the bushings themselves on the outside. If we can get some on the inside, that'd be great too. And we're just going to go ahead and press our Delrin bushings in here. Then we're going to do our second side. And do our second side. And then we have our internal bushing that we're going to go ahead and put quite a bit of grease on this. These internal bushings, I didn't replace them, I just cleaned them up. You can clean them up with a wire brush on a bench grinder like I did. Again, video in the link below. Feel free to watch them. Please let them commercials run so I can get some extra cash. And then we're going to go ahead and grease this bolt to be reinserted. Wipe my hands off. Okay, so now that we have our A-arm ready to be installed, not worried about this grease on here. I'm worried about this grease getting on this red grease on my white pants. We're going to go ahead and put this rear bolt on, which it was the one that we had to repair that needle bearing. So I want to get that one in first. So those needle bearings are pressed in there. We're just going to kind of tap it with our hand. We don't really need a hammer. There we go. So we've got this back one in. We're not going to tighten this all the way. Man, that grease don't make things easy to do. And then we are going to hope our A-arms are pretty lined up here for the rear bolt. And they're not. Needs to come up a little bit. There we go. I think that'll work. So we've got that in like so. Then we just have our nut that we're going to put on here. Then I'm going to wipe this down just a little bit. Get a lot of the excess off. Okay, so on the rear shock here, just like the other side, we've got our bushing and then our inner and outer bushings, our Delrin bushings that they set in. So we're going to go ahead and grease them as well. Don't be using some grease that you just get, you know, you've had sitting around for 15 years. You want to use a really good grease. And we're just going to put our bushing in there. And then put our bushing in the back side here. On the back side of the A-arm. Like so. I don't even know if you could see that. Probably not. You see that? Yeah, you can see that. Okay. So we know from our video that the spacer will go on the inside here. And this is why I did not torque down the sway bar, was because if I would have, I had all kinds of problems trying to get this suspension back on. So what I have to do is I actually have to turn the bottom piece to line up with the shock. And I'm going to go ahead and install the bushing into the A-arm here. So we can just run the bolt through once it gets up high enough to get all this in there. So there's our large one. And then here's our inner bearing. We're just going to go ahead and put that in as well. Now, we're going to push our bolt out of the way, and we're just going to try to get our suspension on the A-arm, get this sway bar lined up, and then we're going to try to get our bolt to go through. And now that the bolt's through, we're just going to try to run the nut through here. And there's so much grease, I can't get this one. There we go. Get it threaded all the way. As you can see, I had this sway bar bent all the way down. If I would have tightened it, then I would have had a hell of a time trying to get this all set up. So, and I screwed up. Let me just show you what I did so you don't make that mistake. The adjustment for the shock, I have toward the inside. So I need to undo this bolt like so and pull this bolt out and change it so the adjustment piece is on the outside, and I did not even notice that. That needs to be so we can get to it. There we go. So we'll just reinstall our bolt there. And I got to double check the other side. I did the other side that way too, so I'll go back on the other side here and it'll all have to be redone. Okay, now we're going to do the top part. Not a lot going on here. Just got to remember which way it went in. I think it went in that way. Well, it definitely didn't go in. It didn't go in this way. So, oh, I didn't grease that. I've got to grease the whole inside here. This needle bearing, it looked bad on the inside of here. I mean, this one barely, it barely turned. So with the grease in there, I've got to turn and get that grease worked into those needle bearings just a little bit before I reinstall this. And it's turning freely now, and it's turning really good, so I actually saved replacing those. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grease our internal bushing here, and then we're going to go ahead and install it on this top side. There's going to be a lot of grease coming out of this after you fill it. And then we've got our inserts here that'll keep water out, supposedly. It didn't work the first time, but who knows how much water this thing's been through. Then we're just going to install this. Then I'm just going to grease this bolt a little bit. Again, a lot of grease going on here. If you disassemble and reassemble this quad, you follow these videos, you're going to need probably 2 things of grease. I haven't even got into the rear differential. There should be so much grease applied in that rear differential that when you put the rubber boots on, that rubber boot system should just press grease out when you go in there. A lot of people have problems with that rear differential. That is from lack of maintenance, and they no longer make that carrier for this quad. So if yours is destroyed or worn out, you're going to have a hell of a time finding a replacement. And when you do find a replacement, I've kind of seen a few come up on eBay. They're $300-400 bucks. A lot of people don't even have that when they buy their quad. They think they spend $2,000 and they ain't going to have to work on it. And when you buy a $2,000 quad, it's going to need work, more than likely. Okay. Here. bolt first. Everything's been greased, ready to go here. Put our nut on. These more likely are going to have to be removed. Then we have our rear. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I'm going to have to beat that out. That is not sliding properly. And that should just slide inside of there. And it ain't moving. Want that needs to move and pivot just a little bit, that spacer, and I'm not sure what the heck's going on with this thing. So we're going to go ahead and grease this too. This should have just moved. It was stuck in there. A little bit of grease will go a long way on this stuff. So this, we're going to put this back in there. This shouldn't have, this shouldn't just, it should, there it goes. See, it was stuck in there. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall the housing here and put our nut on. Once we torque this to spec, that spacer will set where it needs to set. I don't want to jinx myself, but I can't believe I didn't get any of that red grease on my pants. Okay, last thing here. We're going to go ahead and grease the wheel carrier, whatever that's called, and then our internal grease here, our internal bearings here. And like I said, don't forget to check the playlist below, guys. Or gals, whatever. There are some females that do ride these, because I have had them leave questions on there, so. Wish I could find a girl that would ride an ATV. Okay, so we're just going to press this in like butter. Oh man. This thing's finally starting to come along here. Okay, go to the outro. Okay, so there you go. This thing's starting to come along, but expect me to do, basically, it's coming along, but it's not coming along. This thing has so much work still to be done. We haven't even gotten to the motor. So I've got other motor stuff. I had that carb cleaned. I've got covers taken off. I got a stator to replace. Once those TorrentPerformance radiators come in, I'm going to have to shoot a video on installing those. Really hope y'all purchase that. Hopefully it will really help you with these quads. But yeah, dude, there is a ton of work left for this. And now the main video that y'all are eventually going to want to watch is the rear carrier video. There's a lot of people that have fixed it. There's one really good video from a Polaris mechanic online, and when I make that video, I'll put that video link below mine, because that guy, I actually watched his video to fix my video. The only thing is, he kind of shows you how to fix it, but he doesn't show you installing it or anything of that sort. I just very highly suggest high quality grease, possibly waterproof, water resistant grease. I don't know what you're doing. You could be riding this thing through the water, through the woods, maybe riding in the sand, I don't know. The main benefit for getting this stuff to last and not have any problems is the grease. So thanks for watching. Check the playlist below. The 525 build playlist is below. Any purchases from the links below really help me out, and we will eventually get this thing ready to go. It just takes time to build this stuff. You know, I finally made a determination. I don't work on stuff, I build stuff. So I'm not working on other people's stuff anymore. I'm building stuff. So big difference once that mindset changes. I'm out of here.